beautiful soul, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time, welcome. Happy New Year. If you're listening for the very first time in 2024. My intention, I'll state that, is to help you ultimately understand yourself better so that you can live a more fulfilled and purposeful life. And I think we all want that. And the channel I work with, which are presenting themselves as the Pleiadian Council of Nine. And their greatest joy is to help us understand ourselves so that we can remove ourselves from our own prisons. And the irony is that we hold the key to our own prisons. And this information from the council is the how to find the key and how to use the key to release ourselves from our own prisons. And that is a very vibrational statement because it has so many layers to it, I feel. But what it basically represents is that the very thing that we are all doing right now is we're trying to escape from some sort of reality. The problem is that we will never solve what it is we're trying to escape from if we don't understand how we got ourselves in the first place, how we got ourselves there in the first place. So the conscious channeling is very much about presenting information from a much broader perspective in order to help us recognize ourselves for who we really are, not who we think we are or what we believe we are. Because if you're listening to this, you are generally probably recognizing the fact that you are more than just a physical body. By the way, for those of you returning, thank you so much for coming back. As I always say, I love what I do because it makes me feel like I'm at home. And it's not a physical 3D home. It's a feeling I have when I channel. It's absolutely beautiful. And I could just it's like a warm bath. Earlier, before I turned on the camera, I was talking quite a bit with my team about the idea of intuition and how imperatively important it is to learn how to listen to one's intuition. And I wrote, I think, like 12 pages on it. So I'll be writing it somewhere. And it's fascinating the way it was presented to me. And basically what I got out of this big download is that your intuition is your best friend. Your best friend generally has the best interest in its heart. In other words, its priority is you. Intuition will tell you why you are unhappy. Oftentimes we say, I'm unhappy. Why? I don't know. It's not that you don't know, it's that you're not listening yet. So your intuition plays an important, huge part in your soul's development, in your own development. So bottom line is, if we don't have that relationship with our intuition, because it's something we have to learn how to trust, then we're living life half fulfilled. Now, who on earth wants that? I don't want a half fulfilled life. I want a fulfilled life. I don't want half a full, I want the full deal. If I'm here, I might as well go for the big thing. But people are not saying that to themselves. Rather than going for big things, they hold on to the small because it's familiar. So every single person in this world is being urged or guided to develop trust in their own intuition. That's key. It's key because your intuition is a guide in your life, and it sees you from so many different levels, and it knows what your path is. It sees you and understands you better than you understand yourself, because you cannot see yourself objectively most of the time. Your intuition can. Okay? So it can give you ideas that are far greater and far more valuable than the ones you can generate with your human only thinking mind. So your intuition is very self-exploratory. It knows the ins and outs of you, and it can help you tremendously. So it's important for us to start listening to our intuition more closely and more readily. Since we're talking about intuition, I'll walk you through 3 piles, which are to communicate anything about the idea of intuition. So something maybe you've been thinking about intuitively, and these messages are going to be like, there is your confirmation. Or you are wanting to be more intuitively, and perhaps some information will be shared with you in terms of how perhaps there is a need for you to see things different. Whatever you hear, let it be a nugget of information as it pertains to your intuition and your intuitive life, your intuition. Okay. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Apparently 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. And I'm saying this because this is what I received. Not only that, I think every single signs of I've done the Zodiac Signs, the 2024 predictions or survival guides, forecasts for each sign. I think without exception, every single sign had a very significant something happening in their life. It was big and monumental. So as far as I could see, just doing the 12 signs, by the way, there's a link down below and they're on promo until January 7th. And with each bundle purchase, you will have 3 live Zoom sessions with me every quarter, where you can ask questions, talk to me live, and just be engaged. That's 3 times a year and some other goodies. So there's a link down there. The feedback I got so far, people are saying they're fantastic. If it resonates with you, use your intuition. Your intuition will let you know if this is for you. All right. So let's go through each pile. There is 3. Some piles have more cards than others. I just kept them how they wanted to be chosen. So the first card is going to represent, well, perhaps what's going on. We have what's called spiritual quest, but it's coming to me flipped. So I want to see if there is a message from that space. What they're saying here is that you are rejecting your spiritual powers. Okay? I'm asking the question, how? By not truly embodying you as a spiritual being. I'm asking, how are they doing that? How are they not embodying their spiritual beings? They often tell themselves they're not good enough. Okay? And they're saying, acknowledging something you're not doesn't make you that, but you no longer benefit from the other. In other words, not good enough, you are not. But if you believe in that, you're going to experience the not good enough. You're not going to experience the opposite, which is plenty. Okay? And plenty is what you do, what you are. You are plenty. You are not inadequate or small. Fear of rejection is coming up. Why do you fear rejection so much? What does your gut tell you? Why do I fear rejection? For some of you, I don't want to be alone. Okay? Fair statement. Okay? Chances are that although this is not what you want, it's often what you experience, which is why am I getting something I don't want? Exactly. If, for example, you are being guided by your fearful thoughts of being alone, and you make decision based on that fear, you guys know how this works, then you will experience more of that fear, despite the fact that that's the last thing you want. If you don't want something, don't create it. That's a very strong statement. Now, of course, we first have to understand that we are all co-creators. We don't create everything. We co-create with the universe. But the co-creation is a process, and we are a party of it. So we have to recognize our co-creation process. You have a certain process within yourself where you collaborate information in a very specific way in order to give you the outcome you want. And also the outcome you don't want. Why would you want an outcome you don't want? Well, if you're focusing on what you don't want, you're going to experience what you want. It's a simple math. 1 + 1 = 2. Not 1.5, 2. Okay? For example, stop focusing on what you can't and realize that there is so much more that you can. I can't be that. I can't be that person. Well, you're not supposed to be that person. You're supposed to be you. So maybe we start with the idea of acceptance. If you don't accept yourself, you are in denial of it. The more you distance yourself from you, the more you are distancing yourself from your intuition as well. Okay? Because generally what we disconnect from is how we feel and what we feel. Okay? Your intuition is what you feel or how you feel. Okay? I just heard completely from left side, respect your boundaries and don't be a martyr. Okay? So some of you need to respect your boundaries more. And maybe some of you are being a bit of a martyr. I always have a difficulty with that word. I'm not suggesting you are, but I'm suggesting that maybe there is. Just look at it. Okay? They're saying honesty is always the best policy. And we are often dishonest with ourselves. We don't want to know. I don't want to know. Have you ever asked yourself a question like, why don't I want to know something? Too much information, too much bother. Now I have to do something about it. We can't lie to ourselves anymore. So equally you, pile number one, stop lying to yourself. Telling yourself, for example, that you are not good enough is you lying to yourself. You are creating that reality for you. Do you want to do that? What does your intuition tell you? Okay. So, of course you don't want to do that. You want to experience more of yourself. Then start thinking bigger. Start thinking bigger. Start thinking and seeing yourself as a lot more. If you fear rejection, for example, you are afraid of people seeing you. What are you afraid they're going to see in you that they're going to want to reject? What is that? Because chances are you have rejected that part of you yourself. You're in the rejection of it. So just notice. What are you afraid of? What's behind the fear of rejection? Okay. I'm gonna be, I don't know. I tell you one thing. It's not gonna feel good. Being rejected doesn't feel good. Okay. Likely it's because you've rejected aspect of yourself. Most of us do. Okay. So you are in a reality right now, experiencing a 3D experience, going through fourth density in order to bring the opposite sides, the black and white, the good and the bad, the yin and the yang, to commonality, to merge those two so that you are no longer at odds with yourself and with the world. And so the world is not at odds with itself, because it now seems like it is. Own the parts of you that you have disowned for whatever reason, and we do that. And don't look at it as you've disowned a part of you and that makes you a bad person. No, we disown parts of ourselves because it's usually connected to pain and fear. That's generally why we disconnect from aspects of ourselves. They represent our shadows often. Okay? Don't be afraid of your shadows anymore. Your shadow has nothing on you. Your shadow has nothing on you. You just give it more importance than you give yourself, but that's why it's your shadow, because you don't see it yet. So this is message number one. Message number two is all about, I wrote here, it's all about what are your responsibilities to yourself? Now, this is very interesting. Your responsibilities are breathe and happy. All I can say is the word positive. Be more positive about this, about yourself and about your future world. Be more positive about yourself and about your future world. See your future in positive ways. If you see your future as poverty, would you consider that a positive? Because you might. Chances are you don't. Chances are you don't see poverty as positive. It has its learnings, yes, but generally we don't go, yay, let's be homeless. No. Or let's live in poverty. So don't shortchange yourself in terms of how you see your future reality. When you tell yourself, I can't have that job because it pays too much money, then what you are saying is that you are not worthy or deserving of it. The answer, the obvious question is why? Why are you undeserving of it? Says who? They told me. Who? My mom and dad. Well, what if they were wrong? In fact, they were wrong. In fact, when they said it, they were probably mad or angry at you, or they were projecting their own issues on you, and you took it as yours, but it had nothing to do with you. It usually never does. Okay? So not only are you not good enough, it's not even yours. It doesn't belong to you. So if you are struggling with the not good enough scenario, which we humans tend to have a lot, it would be very important for you to develop some kind of system that will allow you to get to the root of it. And it's a process. And when you get to the root of it, see it for what it is and recognize the value of it. The moment you see value, the moment your relationship to it will completely change, one from negative to positive. By the way, this is what I do with my team, with clients all the time. It's all about shifting perspectives, okay? It's time for you to shift your own perspective, perhaps your perspective about the intuition that you have. Perhaps you think your intuition is not very strong. Nonsense. Your intuition is always very strong. Your connection to it may not be strong, but that doesn't mean your intuition isn't strong. In fact, it's absolutely strong, stronger than you know. Okay? So it's worthwhile listening to yourself sometimes. I'm talking to those of you who have a tendency to ignore your intuition. Because how many times have you said, oh gosh, I wish I would have listened to my intuition? Great, you've learned that 10 times. Will you do it on the 11th time, or are you still going to do the same thing? That's your choice. Try it out. See how it works. Don't know how? Go to a store and say, hey, intuition, guide me to what I want. And I guarantee you, your intuition is probably not going to guide you to some deep fried chips. I mean, it may for a little snack, but generally speaking, your intuition is not going to guide you to something that is not to your best benefit. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fried chips, but your intuition is always looking after your health. Now, if you have absolutely no food to eat and somebody handed you a bag of fried chips, eat the damn thing. You need it. You need something. Something is better than nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Yes, the key is to recognizing what's your intuition and what's your habit, or what's your ego, because oftentimes those two can be at odds. You know, that's the whole thing. That's the whole purpose of us talking about learning how to listen to your intuition. You have to develop a relationship, a stronger one than what you have right now. So for those of you who have a very strong intuition, congratulations. Imagine your life without your intuition. That's like walking around without two arms. You're walking, but it's not very helpful. And certainly doesn't help you. Balance may be off. You're certainly not as quote unquote capable. You can't do things that everybody does because you've got no two arms. So you're experiencing, but it's a very limited experience. That's what your life is without intuition. So if you have a very strong intuition, a channel with your intuition, congratulate yourself very much. Because it takes effort to trust your intuition at first. Because it's the unknown. If we're not used to listening to our intuition, we're not going to trust it, period. Doesn't matter how strong it is. Okay, so leveling off intuition with anger. So some of you are holding on to anger. Maybe it's the part of you that you've rejected or trying to get rid of. Anger is a very normal, very at times appropriate emotion. It's part of the experience. If we hold on to it for too long, well, then it creates problems. Fire is beautiful because it can warm up a house. But if you throw the fire on the house, it's going to burn. Not good. It doesn't mean the fire isn't good. It just means depends on the situation. Okay? So if you're holding on to anger and it's been long and you're find yourself getting angry all the time, then ask yourself, what's this? Where is this coming from? Maybe it's something all of a sudden you have all this anger and rage. Well, there is a lot happening in the world where that could have been activated or triggered. Yes. So, whatever you feel angry towards outside is probably a good indication that you feel that towards yourself on some level, because you are effectively at war with yourself when you are at disconnect with you. This is what it's all about. To have a unified community, we have to become unified. To experience a unified field where everything feels like it's floating in unity, which is acceptance, love, we have to stop living in separation. We have to stop living in black and white. There's a space between black and white, and it's a whole bunch of experiences. So if we only hold on to two on opposite sides, we are limiting our experiences. Remember, we're here not to be limited or to limit ourselves more. We are here to empower ourselves from our disempowerments, because our disempowerments is what keeps us limited. If you don't feel like you are a powerful creator, you're not going to live it out. You're not going to embody it. You certainly are not going to use it as your tool, even though you are doing it all the time. Okay? And your intuition plays a big role in how you create. So pile number 1, listen to your intuition. Additional foresights. Okay, your foresight is house of learning. How appropriate. Spirit guides, confirmation, great lessons. This to me speaks of pretty much confirming everything that I channeled a moment ago for you. I don't know if there's anything. All I'm saying is you're ready. You are, for some of you, you are ready to stop resisting the bigger picture. Some of you are not willing to see the bigger picture, or maybe you don't know how to see a bigger picture. When you start seeing the bigger picture, your entire mind and view of things begins to change massively. Massively. You are in that space right now where you can have this different level of recognition of what's going on planet Earth. And you have to see it from above, from beyond. You have to see it from beyond your limited mind. This is in fact what humanity is going through. We are moving beyond our perceived limitations. We are beginning to realize that we are powerful creators. That is what you are, pile number 1. Own it or don't own it. Don't pretend to have it. Either have it or don't have it. But here's the thing, you have it. So it's really you either have it or you deny it. Why on earth would you want to be in denial of yourself? It hurts. When you deny yourself, you deprive yourself. It hurts. Ever seen a child being deprived of food for whatever reason? It screams freaking murder. It's freaking hungry and uncomfortable. Not a good thing. Okay? Nobody wants to feel like that. And by limiting yourself, this is what you are creating. By telling yourself that you are your limits, you are creating that experience which you don't want. Life wants more for you. Not from you, for you. But you have to play the part, okay? Playing a co-creative part in your life is very important. In other words, you must see yourself as a co-creator of your life. You absolutely must. Why? Because otherwise, you are not recognizing your own level of authority, okay? If you don't recognize your own level of authority, you will be looking towards authority because humans that's how they're designed. They're designed to look into authority so that there is these different levels, so to speak. And the high up level is substantially smaller than the lower level. Let's just use that analogy. Okay? If more people believed in themselves and their power, there would be no need for few on the top. And that can be threatening to some people. Okay? Limited understandings prevent us from seeing what I've just described. whatever that was, because it just went through me. Okay? They're saying, close your eyes for a moment and say to yourself in your mind, I wonder what life would be like if my relationship with my intuition was super, super strong. And then ask your intuition to use your imagination in order to show you a picture, a vision, something that makes you feel a certain way. And that will be your cue to what life will be like when you have a stronger relationship with your intuition. And I just heard it's like mother and daughter who can't let go of each other because they love each other so much. Huh. That's beautiful, actually. Okay, so that's what I have for you, pile number 1. What we have for you, remember the 2024 Zodiac Signs Survival Guides are on promo until January 7th. You get at least 50% off. That link is down below. And with each bundle purchase, you will have 3 live Zoom sessions with me every quarter, where you can ask questions, talk to me live, and just be engaged. That's 3 times a year and some other goodies. So there's a link down there. Promo ends January 7th. The feedback I got so far, people are saying they're fantastic. If it resonates with you, use your intuition. Your intuition will let you know if this is for you. Okay, pile number 2, let's see what messages Spirit, Universe has for you. So the first card, I have cards, will likely be some sort of a theme around a new beginning. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so we actually have what's called a promise of the future, and we have achievement in reverse. So let me just tune into these messages and see what comes to. So it's obvious to me that you are looking at a brand new future. You are not there yet, but you are already looking at it. So you are either looking at plans or you are envisioning this in your mind. This new future has a feeling of having a very solid and stable and healthy ego. What it's also showing me is that your mind is illuminated. So for you to have this experience, which you are moving towards, your mind has to be more expanded, and you need to allow yourself to see it in your mind. Okay? If you have objections about what you are seeing or not seeing, or check with your ego, because oftentimes when we try to create an image of our desired outcome, we have a certain funny feelings in our body. They're almost like, something is off, resistance. So notice any resistance you might have towards your chosen future. Your body will tell you this. But you are coming out of darkness. The illuminating mind is telling me this. You are coming out of darkness. To be illuminated is to see. You are beginning to see so much more. And it's very expansive, and it can happen very quickly. It has a momentum to it. And it's almost like you all of a sudden become the observer of what's going on, and that scares you. Okay? Because it's such a huge shift of perspective. It feels like you are vibrating in a different world. In fact, you are vibrating in a different dimension. Okay? You're going beyond the 3rd and more into the 4th and 5th. But you are still participating within the 3rd, but you are vibrating higher. So this is what they're showing me. So it can become a little bit disorienting. And because this is coming up for you, pile number 2, I suspect between now and next springtime, 24, 25, in the next year, many of you will experience what I just channeled out. You're going to find yourself in moments where you will be questioning your reality and the realness of your reality. Which one is real? I had that experience a few years ago, and I felt very wobbly because I literally felt like I was wobbly. I didn't know which world I was in, and it was very confusing. In fact, it has created a bit of a panicky feelings because it's such an unusual feeling. You're literally split into different dimensions, and you are walking both. Becoming awake is literally that. It's to be able to walk on third and fifth at the same time, but not succumb to the density of the third, but experience the third, if that makes any sense. This experiencing the third from the fifth perspective. I don't even know if that's possible. I'm assuming it's possible and correct because I trust my team. Okay. Ascension process can be confusing for, well, they're saying ascension process is confusing to everybody because you are tapping into realities we haven't previously known existed. And that shakes our own human foundation. All of a sudden we realize that what we have known is not it at all. There is so much more. And a lot of it goes against what we were told. For example, there is no hell. We apparently create our own hell in this world. Well, look at the hell that we are experiencing. Okay? We are creating that. We are co-creating that. Humanity is co-creating that. But back to you. You're coming out of shadows, which means you are in a process, or very shortly will be in a process of facing probably one of your biggest shadows. And again, we all have them. It is a process. It's not something to get rid of. It's something you must recognize and go through in order to resolve it within yourself. It's the resolution within yourself that is allowing it to be let go of. It's the resolution. It's internal. Okay? It generally doesn't happen only by working it through your head, because intellect, at a certain point, intellect is useless, because you are using your adult understanding in order to see a situation of a child that was 3 years old. Your perspective of that child is very different than the child of itself at the age of 3. Okay, so you always have to put yourself in that position, which isn't always easy. Because if somebody at age 3 felt frightened all the time, you wouldn't want to feel that. Maybe that is a part of you that in fact is still there, and in order for you not to always feel it, you rejected it, you pushed it aside, but it's still very much there. And it just kind of lurks there in the background. Okay. It's time for you to shed light on it and see it for what it is. They're saying it's one of the greatest experiences you've had in this lifetime thus far, though you may not necessarily see it as a great experience. It's because you're looking at it from a very human understanding. When you begin to see it from a much higher perspective, from the perspective of your intuition, you will be amazed at the wisdom you are gaining from all of it. That's not always easy to look at, because then we have to let go of certain preconceived ideas. We have to let go of the past. If something isn't what we thought it was, then it's no longer, then it doesn't exist. An alternative must exist. I'm hoping that's making sense. The reason why I'm talking about shadow work is because shadow work is very much signified. And they're saying it's like a low-hanging fruit right now. You are in a perfect position, or have the opportunity, or both, where you can fairly easily look at this quote-unquote hanging fruit. It's just ready for you to be acknowledged. So you are likely going to have something come up in your life where you have to look at it. Please don't run away. They're usually things that we connect to discomfort of some sort. Okay? Because generally what we push away is something that is uncomfortable. Okay? Now, some people reject things that were amazing, but those amazing things made them feel uncomfortable and they rejected it. So yes, it does happen. Let me just change the song because Alan Watts is talking. Okay. So, promise of a new future. This is really important for you to now gain a different perspective about your intuition. Your intuition is very important. Its main job is to serve you in order to help you be the best that you can be. It's aligned with source. Okay? It always guides you with the utmost highest intentions. Okay? Your own spirit. Okay? If you don't listen to it right now, I'm hearing you lose big. I don't know what you lose, but you lose big. Maybe you lose an opportunity. But again, in a bigger scheme of things, lose or not lose, it's an experience. So you will, have a maybe dissatisfactory outcome, but that outcome will tell you something. You learn from it, hopefully. So don't put yourself in a position to needing to learn again when you've already learned something. If you've learned something already, don't need to learn it again. For what? So this is saying, make sure you don't make the quote-unquote same mistakes again, which is all tied to a pattern, belief systems. Looking at the shadow aspects often helps reveal those belief systems. Where are we coming from? Okay, what is the source of our shadow? It's generally a fear. And as you know, humanity is moving away more from fear, though it certainly doesn't look that way right now, but that's because we're in this chaotic process. And they're saying 2024 is going to be a very big year for that. Okay? And I actually talked about that in the last video of the 2024 predictions. So it is a apropos time for you to get a better handle on you understanding yourself more from inside out. Your job right now is to know yourself. Who you are, what you believe in. Do you believe what you believe in? Do you trust what you believe in? If you don't believe in something, do you participate in it? This is all about your belief systems. Can you trust yourself? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your intuition? Do you trust your intuition? Okay. Future is here for you if you want it. And of course, everyone will say, I want it. Okay. Then what are you willing to let go of in order to have it? Because if you don't have it now, then that means you're holding on to something different. What is that? So this is a process of letting go as well. Okay. When you let go of your own darkness, quote unquote, you automatically experience more light. And then you realize it's not that there was no light, it was just your perspective. A shadow is a perspective you hold. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a perspective. It has right to exist, but it is a perspective. And exists for a reason. To help you understand yourself through these perspectives. Do you realize how powerful that is? If you were always in the light, you wouldn't understand the experience of pain, of succumbing to peer pressure. You wouldn't feel the experience of rejection. You wouldn't feel the experience of having wine and cookies for dinner. Because in higher dimensions, you don't have a body. If you want wine, you'll create it in a second. There's nothing that's not available to you. So you're constantly in plenty. So you coming in and having an experience where you're being challenged, that's you seeing yourself through a very dramatically different lenses. And that's very powerful because that shows you more of who you are. It gives you more experience of you. Do you realize how powerful that is? All your experiences are very powerful. They don't necessarily all feel good, but they're very powerful. Okay? The moment you recognize each experience as a powerful learning tool or powerful way of understanding yourself is the moment where you will let go of those heavier experiences. There's no need. We've done it all. If you are okay with yourself right now, more and more people are going to be okay with you. And I'm like, What do you mean they're going to be more and more okay with you? Some of you have this idea that people will reject you for some faults, or that people will reject you. And what I'm getting is that actually people want to know you, but you project this image, don't come close to me. They don't. You're speaking with your energy. So do understand that how you communicate with the universe and humans is verbal communication is very small part. It's very small. It's our faces, it's our energy, it's our mannerism, our body language. Okay? We communicate far more with that than just with words. Okay? When you look at yourself in the mirror, hopefully a large-sized mirror where you can see your entire self, just look at yourself and ask yourself this question. What am I seeing in the mirror? You can say, I see a woman, I see a girl, I see a guy, I see a boy, I see a dude. Okay, but what does that mean? Okay, if you're a gal or if you're a dude, you have different sexual organs. Beyond that, you're pretty much the same except the upper part. But without that, we're all the same. So we have far more in common than what we don't have in common. Yet we are focusing on what is the uncommon. Why are we doing that? Because that's what keeps us separate. So when you are afraid of a judgment, is because you are most harshly judging yourself. And it's time for you to acknowledge that. Do you want to be your harshest judge? And most of us are. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be open to, critique or information. But if you're constantly putting yourself down, what does that give you? It keeps you small. Is that what you want? No. Next message. To be fair, what I'm seeing here is actually more balance, more emotional balance. Acknowledgement that you are being guided. Tell me more. Some of you are being guided by your intuition, but it's almost like you're afraid to acknowledge it's your intuition, and you keep telling yourself it's your head. It's like if your intuition tells you something and you follow through it, but if your mind tells you the same thing that your intuition told you, then you're going to follow through it. So it's almost like it has to go through your mind. It has to go through the thinking box. That's a filter. Okay? You are filtering for rights, wrongs, maybes. You're filtering for what could go wrong. Your intuition is just not, here, take it. So, but some of you are, okay, I know what it is. Thank you. It's control. Some of you have a very strong intuition, but you are trying to control it with your mind. Or you're trying to filter your intuition through your mind. There's a reason why you have human mind and intuition. There's a reason. They have distinctly different jobs to do. Okay? The mind is very calculating. The intuition is very flowing. It's two different energies, two different frequencies. And although they can work together, they're generally, one always wants to lead, and it's the mind, human mind, that wants to lead. And your intuition is not going to object to that. It's just like, okay, free will. Okay? So, you're also your harshest critic. Critic is what I heard. Notice if you are intuitively guided, but then you tell yourself, oh no, that was my mind. Or something you're very much in your mind. Now, this is all about control. It's all about control, right? We try to control things a lot. Always leads to safety. Perhaps for you, pile number 2, notice where in your life you're extremely controlled. or who controls you? Some of you are going to say, no one controls me. And what I hear is, oh yeah, look at your fears. And look how much society is afraid. And look where it's coming from. You're going to tell me it doesn't work? Of course it works. Okay. Why would you want to feel fear? Perhaps you believe you don't have other choice. You always have a choice. Now, sometimes fear doesn't feel like a choice, and it should be that way, because you wouldn't have... Making choices involves using your head. Sometimes you don't have time to think. Your body just needs to react. If you're being chased by a tiger, run. But the sort of fear that is instilled in us of doom and gloom, that weighs heavy on people. It weighs heavy on you. And when things weigh heavy on us, we go to our heads because we try to figure out, how do I not make it hurt? Okay. All I'm saying, pile number 2, is that you have a very strong intuition, but for some reason it has to be filtered through your head. So I don't know who you are, but that's what I get. Okay, last but not least, we have a message. Star being healing codes, important information, wounds are healed, recharging. Couldn't have said better myself. Despite of all the things that I've said, I feel like you are on top of the world right now, or you will be relatively shortly. It's a very prosperous time for you right now, pile number 2. And always remember, you are here to grow. Okay? If your prosperity needs growing, if you're looking for growth and prosperity, then that means that you have to grow. You have to outgrow yourself that is not in prosperity right now. Okay? This is all about letting go of your old notions and all assumptions of what might happen, what's going to happen, oh my God, is this going to happen, that are based in fear. This is not to say don't be stupid and walk in the middle of a street in a 5 o'clock rush hour on a highway. No, that would be very illogical. But what's being said is don't fall for everything you hear that's fear-based. I feel like I want to zip it. Important information, wounds are healed, recharging. Some of you are overseers of larger groups. Maybe you are someone who leads a team. Maybe you're in a position where you have people working with you or for you. Maybe you're in some kind of an authority position where you either make the final word or you have more responsibility. I want to ask you these questions, you specifically, if this resonates with you. What's so terrifying about more responsibility for you? So some of you are afraid of more responsibility. And I don't know if it comes through physical or psychological type emotional responsibility or on an emotional level, but there's something about fear of having too much responsibility. Okay. Now, of course, you don't want to run yourself ragged where you are so responsible for everything you fall flat on your face. Of course, I'm not talking about that, but there's something bigger. Okay, you have an inferiority problem. You think of yourself as inferior. And perhaps you're afraid of this responsibility because you are afraid that you're not going to be able to handle this responsibility. I want to say nonsense. I don't know if you believe in me, but I'm going to say nonsense. Of course you can. In fact, that's exactly what you're designed to do. So don't be afraid of having more responsibility. Okay? And really decide what you want your responsibility to be. Sometimes we're not deciding, We have elder parents, we have things we need to take care of. I get it. But overall, okay? be okay with understanding yourself fully in this moment, but also recognizing that at any moment you can become even more full. Basically what they're saying is your human journey is constant growing. Constant growing. It's constant change. In fact, that's the only constant is change, right? So you're constantly growing. What you know about yourself could be very different what you know about yourself tomorrow. Okay? Sometimes we try to make decisions based on what we know right now, but our framework of data is not good enough to give us the results we want. So we have to let go of the old way of looking back for reference, and we have to start with fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and take the steps to attain what we are trying to experience. For example, if you are someone who is earning less money than you would like to, and it's a thorn in your back or on your side, and you'd like to earn more money, you need to look at the aspect of you that is holding you back or objecting to you experiencing a lot of money. Perhaps you tie that with responsibility. Perhaps you don't believe that or perhaps you think a lot of money is some sort of a bad responsibility. There is some challenge here with money, earning more money, prosperity, and responsibility. There's some glitch there. Okay, so I would invite you to look into that because I feel like it's going to be very helpful, especially over the next few years. Okay, so that's what I have for you, pile number 2. For you, remember the 2024 Zodiac Signs Survival Guides are on promo until January 7th. You get at least 50% off. That link is down below. And with each bundle purchase, you will have 3 live Zoom sessions with me every quarter, where you can ask questions, talk to me live, and just be engaged. That's 3 times a year and some other goodies. So there's a link down there. Promo ends January 7th. The feedback I got so far, people are saying they're fantastic. If it resonates with you, use your intuition. Your intuition will let you know if this is for you. All right. Your pile has drive and generosity in reverse. Okay. Oh, there's something I want to look at. Just give me 1 second. They're drawing my attention. Don't confuse drive and force. Force is different than drive. Drive is more of an internal feeling. Force is more about trying to control. Are you driving your experience or are you trying to force it? Are you being internally driven? Do you have drive? Or are you forcing? If you are forcing something to happen, you need to ask yourself this question: why am I forcing this so much? You're forcing it because you want a certain outcome, okay? Identify what the outcome is. So if the outcome is, well, I want to get married, that's not the outcome that you want. What you want is how you feel when you think of yourself as married. So perhaps to you, what you want is to feel safe. You don't want get married only because you believe that that's what's going to make you feel safe. It won't. It'll generally speaking spike the things that feel unsafe in you. Okay, so there's no point in trying to pretend. Okay. So if you are forcing something like that to happen, then you are likely operating out of a fear. Okay? It's like saying You're forcing an outcome based on your fear, so you're putting all your effort and attention towards your fear. That doesn't make sense, does it? No. Anything you put focus and attention to is what you will experience more of. So if you are focusing on that, you're not going to get away from it. You're going to get more of it, in fact. If you are trying to force something in your life right now and it's not happening, you're knocking on the doors and they're not opening, then you have to ask yourself this question, is there a different way? Because the answer is yes, but you need to ask. You need to ask the universe, is there a different way? For one, the universe is going to say, stop trying so hard. Why do you have to try so hard? Do you not believe you're going to achieve it? Why do you have to try so hard? Now, if you're a surgeon, please try hard not to make wrong incisions on my body, okay? You guys know what I'm talking about, okay? Forcefulness sometimes is necessary. Again, I'm talking general. If you're trying to force an outcome, or if you're trying to force a situation, if you are trying to force anything, but it's not coming, it's not a drive, it's force. And force is, it's got control stuff in there, okay? You owe yourself this question. Why am I trying to control it so much? What's in it for me? And identify the real reason, okay? Because generally the real reason will be some sort of fear. You're trying to force something out of fear, which means you are putting energy more into that fear. You don't want to do that anymore, okay? In fact, I know you don't want to do that because you are here to elevate your understanding, and one of the elevated understandings is that we create with our mind. We make with our mind our real. So although you may not be thinking that getting married is what's going to make you feel safe, but that's your intention. That's your hidden agenda. I want to feel safe, and getting married is going to get me there. No, it won't. It absolutely won't. It will expose it, if anything. Okay, so this is a good time for you guys to expose your underlying motives. Why do we do what we do? And we always have a motive, always. We always have a motive. If someone is a hypochondriac, for example, and I'm not calling names, it's just an example they're asking me to give. If someone is a hypochondriac, which means they always believe there is something wrong with them, then chances are very, 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 very high that this is the way the person gets attention. So hypochondriac person gets a lot of attention. They go to doctors, they're constantly being seen. Their mind has figured out an amazing way to get that need met. I need to be seen. I need attention on me. I need to feel important. And it does it by being a hypochondriac. That's how amazing your body and your mind is. Okay? We all have them to some degree. There's no point in denying it. Denying it is you lying to yourself and telling yourself you don't have power to do that. Of course you do. You do it all the time. We all do it. It's unconscious. Okay? Also, as you know, sometimes when we force too much, we can create some damage, collateral damage. So what I'm hearing very specifically, forcing too much at a certain point can create a lot of collateral damage. So that, I know that's a huge metaphor for somebody, so it either makes sense to you or it doesn't, okay? And the collateral is too big. Here's what I'm saying, looking at it going, I just would stop forcing it if I were you. Because where I can see it, it's actually not what you want, but hey, you think you want it. So always ask yourself, why do I want what I want? Sometimes it's very simple because it tastes good, but sometimes it goes much deeper. Okay? Why do I want to stay angry at a person? Do you stay angry because you feel good? Maybe. If it feels good, you're going to do that more, right? But if you don't want to, being angry all the time actually doesn't feel good because it wears you down. It's literally opposite of who you really are. So you're working against yourself every time you feel angry, okay? When we have anger, normal momentary angers, that's very normal. But when we're holding onto it, it drags our awareness, our vibration. So you don't want to stay angry for a long period of time, because it depletes you. It, quote unquote, weakens you. Okay? It makes you lower vibrational. I don't like how that sounded, but essentially that's what it is. So if there's any unresolved anger issues around rejection, this would be really, really good for you to look into that. Let your intuition guide you. If this resonates with you, just say, okay, intuition, show me how to deal with this. Okay? For some of you, 2009 was very, very important year. Something started or happened in 2009 that somehow is connecting to, either it's a validation for you that this is your pile, or something is coming to culmination. Okay? The next card you have is generosity. However, it's showing to me in resistance. So I'm going to tune in here. You're holding back, both on a physical level and on an emotional level. If this is you, if you hold yourself back, ask yourself the question, why am I holding myself back? Okay. If the answer comes, well, because I'm too small. Is it that you are too small, or you believe that you are small? Two different things, because you are not small by any means. Impossible. Okay? You thinking of yourself as small, or believing or identifying as small, that's not your experience, but that's not who you are. So if you want to have that experience, go for it. Chances are you don't. Because nobody wants to feel small unless they're trying to protect themselves. So for you, pile number 3, are you trying to stay small in order to protect yourself, in order to be invisible? If that is your reason, then you ask the question, why? Why am I keeping myself small or invisible? What happens if I'm seen? And then notice what comes up. A lot of the times when you ask these kinds of questions, a trauma comes up. Some sort of relived experience that was painful, very uncomfortable, or right down scary. And it tainted your perception of the world in that moment. Okay? We all have it, but it's time to let it go. When you hold back, you are communicating to the universe and to you that there is not enough. What you are communicating is the frequency of lack. You're communicating a lack vibration. And as you know, the universe cannot give you anything other than what you are vibrating at. Because you will reject it. You're not aligned. Okay? If you want to experience here, you can't be here. You'll miss the boat. Okay? So recognize, why are you hiding? What is your reason for hiding? And heal that, or at least understand this depth about yourself, because it's going to be very important. Why? Because based on this understanding, you make decisions. And oftentimes you make decisions and you don't even know why you're making these decisions. You think you do, but actually you don't. Because your decisions are driven by your unconscious, far more than conscious. Okay? When someone starts chasing you, you automatically run. You don't go, oh, well, maybe he's running slow, maybe he's let me see. No, you just run. You don't think about it. It comes. Right? And that's good. Those situations are good. But if we make decisions on an impulse, and this impulse is rooted in some fear or lack, then we are making our choices and decisions based in our lack perception. And all we do is we perpetuate the cycles. You are ready to let go of cycles. Pile number 3. Again, let your intuition guide you. What sort of cycles? What is this cycle for you that you are intending to move through? Okay. Well, holding back is definitely one of them, and some insignificance issues. I'm insignificant. People would judge me as insignificant. I'm not enough. Those are all belief systems. None of them are true. Now, they're true to you because you believe in them, yes, but they're not true. Okay. You cannot be insignificant. It's impossible. You are part of Source. Source is in you. There is no separation. Zero. You're all one. When you begin to see yourself from that perspective, you will never go back to the rabbit hole of constantly feeling small. Because you'll realize that you can choose not to. I can choose not to feel small. That's the whole idea. The waking up is to realize that there is a choice. If you didn't know you had a choice, then you wouldn't participate in making that choice, choosing that choice. Oftentimes, the key for us to get out of a difficult situation or a pattern is to realize that we have a choice. Okay? And then how do we go about these other choices? And that requires pattern recognition, changing one pattern to another pattern. There is a process, yes, but without recognizing that there is something to be changed, there can be no change. Right? Time to nap in reverse. It's telling me, pile number 3, that you're very stressed about something, or you're feeling very stressed. And I feel like you're constantly running. And what I want to say to you is this. Why do you keep yourself so busy all the time? It's kind of an irony, because on one hand, I can see you running, constantly busy. But on the other hand, I'm seeing you don't know what not busy is. You don't know what not busy is. So if you enjoy being busy all the time, that's great. But I will tell you one thing. Even if you like feeling busy because that's your drive, you need a moment of peace. You need some contemplation time. If you're constantly busy, you will never have a chance to look on inside. Busy will not allow you, because busy is about outside. To self-reflect, you have to let go of the busyness. You have to go inside. You have to allow for time to happen, to make that happen, to make that transition, you have to allow for that to take place. And I feel like some of you have been intuitively getting in for, hey, you need a break, you need a holiday, you need some time off. But you're like, no, I gotta do it. So if that is you, you may absolutely have valid reasons, but here's what I'm gonna tell you, go deeper, okay? If you were born, for example, into a family where everything is constant chaos, go, chances are this is what you've learned life to be. Your blueprint of life is one of constant busyness and chaos. You'll just reproduce that because you don't even realize there is something outside of it. It won't occur to you. It's just you, right? That's a pattern. And it's rooted somewhere. So it could be part of your personality, but it can also be lowered a little bit, okay? They're also saying have more tolerance towards yourself. You have a lot of tolerance of other people. And I want to say sometimes too much tolerance. You tolerate a lot of bullshit. Pardon my French. But you don't apply the same tolerating rules to yourself. I like how this was phrased. Tolerate yourself more often. I'm like, what does this feel like? This tolerating thing, there's something off here. Tolerating yourself is the bare minimum. So what I'm getting is that you're not even tolerating yourself. You're totally on the negative. Now, how is that going to serve you? How is that going to help you achieve more if you are constantly in the negative? That's opposite direction. When you see yourself in a negative view, you are limiting your potential. That's not what your intuition wants. Be okay with knowing the parts of you that need confrontation. If you are, for example, someone who has a fear of being alone, and you make your life based on that fear, you're likely not getting what you want. I'll tell you that much. So you want to confront that part of you that feels like it's going to be alone, because it's holding on to a memory, some past memory that is rooted in pain. To understand it from a very different perspective allows that pain to be transformed into a different frequency, one that's more of supportive of you, not denying of you. And it's a beautiful releasing type process. Again, I do it with clients all the time. Do yourself a favor, pile number 2, 3, know yourself. Know yourself this time. In other reincarnations, you didn't know yourself very much. Well, humanity was at a different level. We all didn't know ourselves. Although I guess, Lemuria and Atlantis and ancient Egypt, they had more of an understanding. But you're not the only one. Okay, there's a lot of unawareness going on. That's why this is what's happening on the planet. But back to you. Also, be okay with being true to yourself. Last time you felt guilty about it. So at some point you made a decision that was true to you and you were guilted for it. You felt bad, or someone made you feel bad. I'm going to be saying something that sounds very blunt, but here it is. How they feel about your choices is none of your business. Nor is it their fault or your fault. Sometimes your choices will not align with somebody else's choices. That's okay. That's what different is. But just because somebody doesn't align with your choices does not mean that your choices were not the right ones for you as an individual. If you did the best you could for you, because when you do the best for you, everybody else benefits. It's not about being selfish. It's about taking yourself into account, having dignity. Okay? And seeing yourself as a valuable person that has a lot of value to offer. It's like, think of yourself as a real estate. You wouldn't want to sell yourself on sale. It goes against what we do. Do you see what I mean? I'm not comparing it to a physical thing. I'm just sharing you the idea of value here. When you see yourself as a valuable person, other people see you as a valuable person. It's not that they don't see you as a valuable person. They just see you, don't see your value. So even though they see you as a valuable person, they don't see your trust and believe in it, which makes you someone who's a great person, but perhaps not someone who's confident. So if somebody's hiring me and I appear very timid, and this role requires me to be in my, I have a lot of responsibilities. I can't just be like this. Then I can have all the skills in the world. If I don't bring with me a certain something, a certain energy that fits that position, they're not going to hire me. Okay? Whoever you are, I'm talking to you. Okay? It's not that you don't have it. It's you either don't believe you have it or you don't believe in what you have. That's your mistake. You don't believe in what you have. You believe in what you don't have, but you don't believe in what you have. Now, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Why do you believe in what you don't have? I don't have a lot of money. Do you believe in that? Yes. Okay, well, you don't have a lot of money. Now, it's the chicken or the egg. Now, you may not have a lot of money, but you need to understand yourself. Why? Why is this part of my experience? What am I getting from this? Perhaps part of your life was to live in constant poverty, and in this lifetime you're deciding to flip that poverty on its head so that you can finally experience abundance. And part of this process is your understanding in your own mind how you create. That when you live in a consciousness of poverty, you will be creating more poverty. And in this lifetime you're going, wait a second, I don't want my consciousness to be that. I want it to be different. Shift of perspective. Okay? You can't know one without experiencing the other. So if you've always lived in a quote-unquote poor house, say to the universe, I'm done with the poor house, and the universe is finally, now let go of your perceived notions you hold about yourself about being poor. Because it's your identity. Okay? In other words, let go of your poor identity. Okay? And then see what happens. Last but not least, soul star activation, fulfilling soul contracts, remembering who you are. Couldn't have said it better myself. You might have a connection with Metatron, Pleiadians, Arcturians, different types of body systems, energetic beings. Some of them are tall whites, is what I heard. Okay, I'm not perceiving anything negative, by the way. Ishtar or Ashtar wants to come through me. Now, I've heard of Ashtar command, but I'm supposed to say Ishtar or Ashtar. And if it's meant to be for you, you're like, I can't believe she's just said that. Okay? So that's, if this is a message for you, if you feel it's for you, it's a recognition. You and this Ishtar or Ashtar have a connection, and you're not sure if it's a real connection. The answer is yes. So I don't know who I'm talking to. Congratulations. Okay. I talked about Metatron. I talked about the cube. Metatron cube. I feel like I want to say Ra. God Ra. Is it Ra? God Ra. I think this stands for Ra. It's not Thoth, I know that. You might have a connection to Ra, to God Ra, deity. I actually have them on my body. I was shown them a few years ago. So Ra, and a very Egyptian energy that's coming through right now. You are someone who were very sophisticated in Egyptian times. I don't know what that means, but it sounds to me like you had a certain class. You belong to a certain class. And in this lifetime, the whole idea of people being in classes really, really bothers you. Like it really bothers you. So you hate to be classified. So there's a bit of defiance going on. So you've got some defiance going on. Whatever the defiance is likely rooted in some sort of control thing. Okay, so pile number 3 looks like there might be some control things that might be coming up, or you might be willing to look at and address. Okay, I always say this is not about letting go of control. This is about releasing the control we have on the outcomes, because we really don't have control of the outcome. Impossible. Nobody does. You don't have control over tomorrow. You have control over what you do right now, and each step leads you to tomorrow, but you don't have control over tomorrow. No one does. Right? So trying to control tomorrow is like trying to hold gas in your hands. Well, you can't hold it. It's not there. You can't. I mean, you can, but you can't. You know what I mean? All right, that's what I have for you, pile number 3. Remember the 2024 survival guides, forecasts for each zodiac sign on promo until January 7th. And the bundle comes with meeting with me live on Zoom for your questions every quarter. So there's going to be like 3 sessions. All right, all the links are below. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year again, and see you next week. Bye-bye.